You willing to give up the ship? Just like that?
Hey guys, Dantix here. Man, am I pumped for Starfield. Daddy Howard just dropped a ton more information on us and I'm excited to go through it all with you. Starfield isn't coming this year and probably for the best, as he's announced 2 big changes to the game which I'll run through in this video. I'll also run through some brand new perks, dive into the new Persuasion System, talk about space travel and how it's now working, and more. So if you like this kind of content, hitting that like button and subscribing grants you the secret to interstellar space travel. Speaking of, let's talk about fuel and space travel first. Todd opens by talking about how he had read a ton of physics books about warping and discovered that in the end it's about bending space in front of you or towards you rather than physically traveling forward. Their old system had it so you had limited fuel and you'd run out. The problem is, when you would run out, it would feel as though the game stopped dead in its tracks, which wasn't very fun. So recently, they changed it so your max fuel indicates how far you can travel at once. However, you can't actually run out of fuel. Tom mentions perhaps there will be an update or a mod in the future that allows that, but for the base game, this is what they're going for. This means that when building ships, your fuel capacity will matter less when it comes to efficiency and more as a level gating system. You can't get to a particular system without the right ship, at least not quickly or maybe not even at all. Not sure if this means that particular ships like those focused around combat or carrying cargo will be hamstrung, not able to progress easily through the universe, or if it simply means you'll need to slingshot through other systems like shown here in this infographic. Regardless, I'm sure Bethesda will balance it in a way that makes it so any playstyle is viable. Next, let's talk about traits. If you remember, when you build your character, you'll have the cosmetic options, but you can also pick their background and up to 3 traits. Traits will offer both a pro and a con. For example, introverts have more endurance when alone, but less when with other human companions. Then there is kid stuff, which makes it so you have parents that you can visit. However, 10% of all money you earn is deducted automatically and sent to them. A parent tax, because we all know in video games you aren't allowed to have them. Speaking of, Todd goes on to explain that there is a way in-game to undertake quests or activities to remove traits. This is so that if you pick the trait you don't like, you don't need to completely remake your character. Does this mean if you picked kid stuff, you'll be sent on a quest to get rid of your parents? This is the only explanation for removing that as a trait. It's not like you can just send your parents away. You're a space traveler and you can always get where they are going, so it looks like you'll need to kill your own parents, guys. If so, there are plenty of sickos out there that would pick this trait just to remove it. I know they didn't buy you that Nintendo 64 when you were young, but they were trying their best, okay? We also see some of the traits that were updated. For example, Starter Home, which gave you a small house on a peaceful little moon with a 50,000 credit mortgage, has been updated to Dream Home, which is now a luxurious customizable house on a peaceful planet that also costs 50,000 that you have to pay back weekly. Very similar, but no doubt is a better house in a better position. You can also look at Empath, which makes it so performing actions your companions like will make you better in combat, but will have the reverse effect if it's something they don't like. Hero Worshipped gives you the attention of an annoying, adoring fan, similar I assume to Conrad Werner, who will show up and randomly jabber at you incessantly. On the plus side, he'll give you gifts. Might be something you want to put up with for the benefits. We'll just have to see how good these gifts are. The other traits, as far as I can see, remain the same. If you want to see more on traits, check out my traits breakdown video below. Next, let's talk about speech checks and dialogue that reflects your character build. They've gone back to the classic Bethesda style where they zoom in on the person you're talking to face so you can see their reactions. We saw this recently in Outer Worlds and we can see it in action in the gameplay trailer. This makes the dialogue seem more personal. However, there are more changes than that. They've drastically increased the depth of dialogue, having just passed 250,000 lines of dialogue. If you compare this to Fallout 4, that's already over double. A few complaints about Fallout 4 was the dialogue didn't feel consequential, so hopefully the sheer quantity and the new changes will improve that. New changes, you say? Yes, well, there's a point-based persuasion system, which feels more immersive and gives different playthroughs, different dialogue options and outcomes. It's easier for me to step-by-step explain it. Here we are in a conversation with a pirate. The assumption is they've already boarded your ship and plan to take it over. You have three options: to persuade, to attack, or to vanilla converse. Of course, we select persuade.
You're not talking us out of this score.
The pirate clearly isn't convinced to abandon ship just yet. The persuade options open up. By spending points, you can say what seems like progressively more convincing statements. By denying the presence of treasure, you spend 1 persuasion point, and so on until you get to persuasion 5, which points out that you're a badass, cut through his men to get to him like it was nothing. However, as you can see below persuasion, you have 4 bars, which mean you only have 4 points available to spend. Next to this is the turns you have left to persuade the guy. You go ahead and select a 3-point option, which seems to work on him. You can see that you'd have 1 point remaining if you want to try another option and 2 turns left. It's unclear if you would be presented with new options or just the remaining ones, but you'd have the option to try again. This is a quick look at what we can expect with the new system. Do note that there is an option to auto-persuade, which I assume means let the game auto-pick options based on your total points, which is not something I'd imagine anyone using. The implications of a persuade system like this means you'll be hustling for those extra persuade points, and particularly charming character builds will have a lot to work with, whereas the less smooth characters will have less. Hey, you always have the option to simply shoot them. So that's all the information I have for you today. What do you think? Are you more or less pumped for Starfield? Let me know below. And for everything RPG, you're in the right place. Ciao, friends.